Picture this, a champion Muay Thai fighter walking up the steps to a police station, not to report a crime, but to ask for a job. Actually, take the exam to become a Thai police officer. But fate had other plans for this man. This is the story of Superbon and how he got his reputation for being a fighter with legs that dominate in Muay Thai and kickboxing. As anyone can tell you that's done it before, following your heart during moments of uncertainty can work out for the best. But life's path isn't always clear when you have bills to pay, and having to sacrifice your dreams for financial prosperity for your family can be a difficult balance. Having to work and not spend time with your family can be a reality for those who have to provide. Just like Superbon, finding jobs that pay well and making ends meet is a harsh reality for those of us even with dreams. So when Superbon was in the ring in October of 2021 for his title championship fight against the Dr. Giorgio Petrosian, he had some decisions to make. He knew this fighter was known for a near-perfect record, one that shines a light so bright he couldn't help but notice. How would the judges score the rounds? He knew he had to make his skills clear. Round 1, right teep and kicks thrown with assertion towards Petrosian. He loads up the heavy right leg to unload against him. The Italian responds with some quick combination punches, both fighters giving strikes back and forth with well-landed counter-attacks, mixing uppercuts, knees, and high kicks. Round 2, Superbon knew the steps of Petrosian and went to work. As usual, a high right kick, then another right kick to the midsection. After a stance reset, another quick right kick to the head, where this one lands hard, just clipping his chin and face. The commentators say that is scary, one of the momentous occasions in kickboxing history, and picture perfect, making him the one featherweight kickboxing champion of the world. Say good night to the man who once was unstoppable in the first 20 seconds of the second round. All this from a guy who was about to give up on his dream. How did he do it? Let's find out how he got to this point. Superbon grew up like most Muay Thai fighters, in a farming village where life is simple. A southern province where not much happens other than fishing and village life, in Fatalung. The farms and temples scattered around, not much of ways to keep a young mind occupied, and when parents are out working, the kids stay home alone or with older brothers and sisters. More times than not, village kids experiment with sex, drugs, and gang activities that can end a young man's life up in jail, addicted or worse. So when Superbon's father decided to take care of him, he knew that Superbon couldn't be left alone with those types of influences lurking around. So early each morning, and straight after school, even on the weekends, he dropped off young Superbon at a local Muay Thai gym to be trained. To understand that, you have to go back to a small village in southern Thailand, to a 5-year-old boy who at first couldn't handle the rough training. Why did he do it? Behind his legacy is a father who was terrified of what might happen to his son if he didn't, and a series of moments that nearly ended this story before it began. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how all of it connects. Superbon has said that one of the reasons my dad made me train Muay Thai before and after school was to occupy me from being with those kinds of friends. How young did he start to learn this ancient martial art that's been in Thailand for generations? 5. Most kids love waking up late, cereal and milk with cartoons. Not here. Superbon was in the gym with dad and his trainer. After those few tortuous months, his mind and body got used to the training and schedule. A young Superbon champion was beginning to being molded. We can carry regrets in our life, but Superbon never regrets his father's decision to put him in martial arts at such a young age and press him to compete when he wins to support the family and himself. If I could turn back time, I'd choose to do the same thing because it made me who I am today. I was lucky that my dad didn't let me out of his sight to do drugs or bad stuff like that. If I had chosen to go out and play, I wouldn't be here today. Studies and martial arts were this kid's whole life, fighting every month and gaining his strength. When he found that he wanted more than just a southern Thai life, he headed to the capital, where his biggest challenge yet awaited him. Armed with a dream and packed with a small suitcase, he headed to the capital city of Bangkok, Thailand. Here, in a population of over 10 million, the city's sprawling infrastructure and skyscrapers were nothing like life at home. How could a farm boy possibly fit into this concrete jungle and find his way? While he trained Muay Thai morning and evenings, He also was a student by day. He started university where he majored in business, knowing if anything fails he can open a business with his skills learned. The long nights and exhausting schedule quickly caught up to him. It was really exhausting and I didn't have time for anything else, he said, but the atmosphere of Bangkok gave him something he hadn't experienced in Phat Thalung. When he stepped into the ring at one of the city's major stadiums and looked out at the crowd, tens of thousands of faces staring back at him. It's a totally different feeling, he said. There is more excitement and atmosphere in the stadiums. The audience in Bangkok is much bigger by tens of thousands. He then applied and got accepted on the roster of Lumpini Stadium, where he continued to fight and learn at every step of the way. In 2010, he captured the lightweight championship against heavy hitter Pansak Lukborkor that really built up his credits to the next stage of competitors. Learning that working with those better than you can be a humbling learning experience to train with the best in the sport. By 2012, he was competing internationally, traveling to Australia and Southeast Asia for bouts. He was accumulating belts, experience, and a name, but the financial reality of being a fighter hadn't caught up with the dream yet, and that would soon bring him to his lowest point. Being a featherweight and floating in between that and lightweight divisions, he couldn't find many opponents in this weight class to fight against. This wasn't anything new. It was a struggle he'd seen since he started as a boy where he couldn't find fights, and that means one thing: survival. By this time, Superbon has graduated university and now is looking to transition into full-time work for his fighting career. How does this young man do such a thing when there's hardly any competition? How is he supposed to survive? There was no opponent and no event, and I couldn't make a living, he said. I didn't really want to quit. It was the situation. So he was at a crossroads, and his parents, always guiding him, asked if he'd be open for this type of job. What was it? One of the most respected, stable jobs in the country, with a full pension, health benefits, and other host of incentives. Getting a job as a policeman. Just as Superbon finished signing up for the police academy, his stomach sank. Was this really what he wanted? At that moment, the tide was changing for Superbon, and he knew fighting was going to be his destiny. Then he got a call from the universe, and it wanted to help. As we know the story now, good for us that he didn't become a cop, and he is still one of the best kickboxers that has ever came out of Thailand, let alone in the sport fighting today. Comment who is the best kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter that can beat Superbon. 2013, Superbon headed to Australia for a series of fights where he crossed paths with the legend Buakor. I had the chance to train with him, Superbon later recalled. When we came back to Thailand, he asked me to train with him. He said that if I joined his gym and adopted the Banchamak name, he would put me in international tournaments. For a fighter who had been struggling to find opponents and events, this was a lifeline. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for without knowing exactly what shape it would take. After thinking it over, he agreed. He joined Banchamak Gym, took on the name Superbon Banchamak, and began a new chapter entirely. It was the turning point of my life. Knowing his killer leg kicks, Buakor knew the direction Superbon needed to go, and it was to dominate kickboxing. This opportunity could put Superbon in global tournaments in China, Europe, and the Middle East. Kickboxing that would take him further from the local Thai circuit and out onto the world stage. So under his duty and guidance, they worked together on a strategy that used the powerful kicks and balancing from Muay Thai, a few years of hard training, trips overseas to fight in the rings with huge prizes and winning against heavy-hitting kickboxing legends to secure his name on the international stage. Superbon goes on to rack up more wins, and these gave him a spotlight that the newest fighting organization couldn't pass up on. When Muay Thai fighters come up in the ranks with tons of highly skilled fighters, but a small weight class, you're bound to meet the same fighter again in the ring. This is true for Superbon and his opponent Sitichai. Sitichai was the man who knocked Superbon out back in 2015, back in the early Kunlun fight days. It was a brutal stoppage, a right hook that sent Superbon to the canvas and knocked him out of the tournament. But Superbon didn't carry it as a weight, he used it as fuel. They met again in the summer of 2020, when Sitichai knew what he was up against. A strong right kick to the head out of the corner from Superbon just seconds into the first round. A quiet stadium shows the pressure this fight brought both fighters, with Superbon quickly defending kicks and jabs thrown by Sitichai. October of the next year rolled around where Superbon met Giorgio Petrosian for the inaugural one featherweight kickboxing world championship. Petrosian was the heavy favorite as he was older, more experienced, and had one of the most technically flawless records in kickboxing history. The handful of losses on his record came in a sport where losses are almost impossible to avoid over a decade of competing. Knocking out his rivalry, making him the champion of the world, he gained recognition for top fighter, and at that moment he was ranked the #1 pound-for-pound kickboxer on the planet. Spring of 2022, Superbon enters 1X. His opponent, Marat Grigorian. Grigorian was the man who had knocked Superbon out in the 2017 Kunlun Fight World MAX final, another painful loss from the past that was now resurfacing. This time, he dominated all 5 rounds and walked away with a unanimous decision. The belt was his, but for how long? But a darkness was gathering on the horizon, and it was coming in the form of a man from Azerbaijan. January 14, 2023, One Fight Night 6. Chingiz Alazov had been circling the featherweight kickboxing division like a storm that hadn't broken yet. Superbon had no idea what he was about to show the Thai native. Alazov came out like a freight train, combining punches with terrifying accuracy and power. He didn't allow Superbon to settle, didn't let him establish distance, didn't give him a moment to breathe. 1 minute and 3 seconds into round 2, the flurry came by his opponent. Superbon went down, the match was called, and his belt was gone from him. Was he too slow? Was it time to call it quits? He knew he has to get back to what he knew how to do, train and work on becoming the best. In December 2023, Superbon stepped up to challenge for the one featherweight Muay Thai World Championship against Tawanchai PK Sinchai, a fight that had already been postponed twice due to injuries and illness on both sides. When they finally met at One Friday Fights 46 on December 22, 2023, it went the full 5 rounds, and at the end of it, the judges gave the majority decision to Tawanchai, 2 losses in a row, 2 title fights, 2 defeats. The question was being asked loudly in every corner of the combat sports world: was Superbon's time at the top finished? He stepped back into the one circle against Dutch-Turkish striker Tayfun Özkan, and in round 2, that lethal high kick came out again. Özkan crumpled, and the fight was over by TKO. Superbon was awarded a $50,000 performance of the night bonus. The message he wanted to send was clear. He was still one of the most dangerous kickers alive. Then came One Friday Fights 58, where he met Marat Grigorian for the 3rd time. Their trilogy had been something of a back-and-forth saga. Grigorian had knocked Superbon out in their first meeting back in 2018. Superbon had dominated him in their second to defend the title in 2022. Now, with the interim one featherweight kickboxing world championship on the line, they went at it again. 5 hard rounds, 5 rounds of sharp counters, body attacks, and tactical warfare that seemed razor-thin. But when the judges' scorecards were tallied, Superbon had the unanimous decision, making him the interim champion. Next came a sweet bonus he never expected in One Friday Fights 81 against Joe Natawat. The fight ended in round 1 when Superbon dropped Natawat with a perfectly placed elbow, one of the most savage finishes of his entire career, ranked among the top knockouts of the year by One Championship. And then, in January 2025, something happened that sealed his legacy in a way that no fight could fully replicate. Chingiz Alazov, the man who had taken Superbon's belt nearly 2 years earlier, had been largely inactive. One Championship made the call. Alazov was stripped of the undisputed championship due to inactivity, and the interim champion, Superbon, was elevated. Just like that, without throwing a single punch, he was again the undisputed one featherweight kickboxing world champion. Some might say that's not the most satisfying way to win a title back. Superbon proved it was just the beginning of what he intended to do with it. Then on November 16, 2025, in Tokyo, 173, Superbon stepped into the circle against Masaki Nwari of Japan and defended his newly unified championship. Rounds 1 and 2, both fighters come out with powerfully placed shots and strikes, defending well and keeping guard. After the 5 rounds, judges awarded Superbon the title, making him a 2-time undisputed world champion. He has somehow managed to become one of the top, and during all that time, he never forgot the village and people that helped him when he was just starting his journey. Superbon's kicking style is classic to Muay Thai, which is one of the several Muay Thai styles that one can learn under this martial art. His signature weapon is the high kick, typically off his right leg, and what makes it so dangerous is how he sets it up. Working the body first, attacks the legs, disrupts his opponent's balance and defensive rhythm, and then, when they adjust to protect the lower half, the head is exposed. That's when the kick comes. He has 29 knockouts across his career of 117 wins, a truly big feat for a fighter where a large chunk of his output involves 5-round title fights where the KO option isn't always available. Superbon has had a mentor and coach the whole way that has helped to boost his career and become the backbone to his success. Meet trainer Guy. He may look like a normal-looking Thai man on the outside, but he's considered one of the finest Muay Thai trainers in the world. Superbon has added layers to his game. And what are his training sessions like? When he's away from the ring, Superbon is not what you might expect from someone with his reputation. Superbon always has the perspective of hard work, consistent effort, and a clear mind to win fights, not flashy team and macho displays. Really a guy with no ego and can learn from his mistakes in order to succeed. Training with and connected to Muay Thai's legendary fighters like Nong O, Sin Chai, Rodtang, Buakor and others has given him a lifeline of support when he needs it. He knew he was going to come up against the best, and he did when he matched against the coldest leg kick in Muay Thai, Tawanchai. Their first meeting was set 3 separate times before it actually happened. Superbon pulled out once with a leg injury. Tawanchai withdrew once with a viral infection. When they finally met on December 22, 2023, at One Friday Fights 46, it was a war. 5 rounds, majority decision, Tawanchai retaining the belt. Superbon had pushed him to the limit but come up short. Their rematch, set for January 24, 2025 at 170 in Bangkok, was even more painful. Tawanchai stopped Superbon via TKO in round 2, putting him down 3 times. The crowd in Bangkok's Impact Arena had not expected the finish to come that quickly. Superbon's desire to conquer a second world championship in a second discipline had been denied. Will they fight again? Whoever he faces, Superbon has stacked a record across Muay Thai and kickboxing combined that stretches to 154 total bouts, 117 wins against 37 losses. In a sport where fighters often accumulate hundreds of bouts through the Thai stadium circuit from a very young age, that kind of volume isn't unusual. What is unusual is the quality of the wins at the top of the resume. What the numbers don't show is the time, effort, long nights and dedication, with every ounce of sweat poured into their sport, their fighting lifestyle that keeps the lights on and bellies fed, and children grow up with the sounds of smashing pads instead of nursery rhymes. It's not one kick. It's not one night in Singapore. It's a 5-year-old boy who hated training and trained anyway. It's a father who chose discipline over comfort because the alternative terrified him. It's every punishment in the gym, every pre-dawn session, every flight to a foreign country for a fight that barely paid the bills, every moment of doubt, every setback, and every title that slipped away, all of it compressed into 25 years. That's what it takes. That's what made Superbon Singha Mawynn the man who could do what almost nobody else could. And that's what makes him legendary. If you haven't pressed subscribe to Strike and Clinch, click the notification bell to never miss another new episode of the many legendary fighters. Comment who is the best Muay Thai fighter that we should cover in our next video.